Okay, welcome everyone to Gentle Yoga at the ACC's Zoom room here in the community room of the facility. For the next hour or so, we'll be just practicing some yoga together. Before we start, I'd like to announce that the ACC this Thursday will be hosting, I believe, the Asian pair duo, Mary and George, and hopefully you can sign up online and join us here on Thursday evening at 7. So that ought to be awesome. Thank you. As far as today's class goes, we're continuing on with our practice of warming up a little bit for the first 5 minutes, about a 10-minute sun salutation that's really modified to help get the blood going and stoke up the fire. And then we'll do some standing poses to help with focus and balance, really all throughout the practice, but halfway through the class, we'll make our way down to the mat. If you would like to use blocks, a chair, a strap, something to help support you, to help meet the distance, keep those nearby, and I'll try to cue for those as we move along. So we'll start at the back of the mat, and you can go ahead and just, as you're arriving, give yourself the time to just settle in. We begin by being in mountain, and it's an easy mountain right now. That just means having a gentle bend to the knee. And as you return to mountain, you can see about lengthening through the body, getting a little taller, a little stronger each iteration of mountain. As we're standing, beginning of our practice, it's a great time. Set an intention if you have it. Just continue to start noticing your breath, a little more intention. While I close the door and giving yourself a little bit of time feel the mat under the feet. Now as the breath rate is just a little slower, start to cultivate a more focused breath. Palms facing forward. Go ahead and start to bring our left gently rest on our chest. Warm right palm hugging under the belly button. As you start to breathe in, start to incorporate a brief pause between the exhale. Finish with the pause, last exhale. See if you can, in the next few breath cycles, that deep sound of the ocean. Somewhere at the top of the throat, back of the throat, nice and wide. Air going over the voice box, the glottis. That sound of an ocean wave. Sigh. Self to feel a little more relaxed. Shoulders are melting down the back. Bottom of the exhale. Go ahead and release our hands to the side. We'll go ahead and inhale tall. Feel as if you're gathering energy at the feet, traveling upwards through the spine, through the crown of the head, still energizing upwards. And then with the exhale, slowly feel that energy returning through the crown of the head, through the body, down, back to the earth. Feeling nice and supported, arms relaxed. Engage the belly slightly at the bottom of the exhale. And with the next slow inhale, we're going to start tipping the weight towards our toes. Feel that weight, center of gravity rolling towards the toes until you feel that edge where you're about to tip over. Then use the next breath to start to slowly roll the weight towards the heels. Keeping the body as upright as possible, lean back until you find that edge. So the next few breaths, find that toe to heel alignment. Direction of center of gravity as it travels with the breath. Then we'll meet somewhere back at center mountain. center of gravity above the arches or towards the heel. Inhaling tall in our mountain once more. Still feeling lifted, we're just going to roll the weight to the outer rightmost edge of our feet. Take the next inhale, come all the way back up to center, or continue all the way over to the other side for a 2-part breath. So you can have a 3-part breath, inhaling up the center, exhaling to the other side, just using each breath in, get to one side, each breath out, travel back. Getting that left to right movement and then meeting somewhere at the center, dropping back in, reset the mountain, inhale, feel as if the shoulders are a little wider, head is moving a little taller towards the ceiling. We'll make small movements with that uplifting energy still there. Whoa. And just notice how it feels as you're moving towards one direction. And as your circular path in this direction gets wider and wider, you'll find the edge, maybe the perimeter of the feet, where you can find that center of gravity at the outmost edge of the feet, and then tightening in the circles, coming back to center like water going down the drain. We'll reset the mountain, inhale nice and tall, still lifted. We're going to make the opposite direction path, the circular path. See how it feels for us at the ankles, at the rest of the body. For me, I'm a little more jagged today, not as smooth. Just something to think about as you're moving through your practice. We'll come back to mountain, and inhaling nice and tall. We'll bring some standing weight to our left standing leg and start to lift the right foot. Just hover it above the mat. And we're doing our standing balance here where we're just seeing if we can balance, and then go ahead and rest your foot back down. We'll do it one more time, bringing standing weight to the left standing leg and lifting up the foot, hovering it above the mat. And if you can balance well, see about just bringing a forward to back motion. Coming back down. If you fall out, that's okay, not an issue. We're cultivating our sense of balance and focus. Inhaling nice and tall, let's move over to the other side. We're going to bring some standing weight to the right standing leg. Then lift up the left foot. Just stand there, hovering above the mat for a moment, stacking that right side of the body. And then go ahead and let it rest back down. We'll inhale, standing weight into the right standing leg once more, lifting up the left foot, just flexing the foot upwards, hovering it, then seeing if you can have it move front to back. Small movements, just to see what balance is like here on this side. Then letting that left foot lengthen, steady. Then we'll go ahead, inhale, tall once more, and let's rotate the right side. We did it a little differently this morning, but that's okay. Standing weight on the left standing leg, lifting up the right foot, bending the right knee. We're going to bring the knee towards the inner midline and then rotate it to the outer, and then let the foot rest. We'll do that 3 to 4 times for each round. We're just going from an inner towards an outer rotation, speeding up process if we find that range is available. Then we'll switch that up. Standing weight once more in the left leg. We're going from an outer to an inner rotation. Just notice the little difference. We'll let that foot land. Now let's get some tension out of the left leg since we haven't released any of that recently. So we're going to go ahead and kick the left foot forward. Maybe a couple times might feel good. Then to the outer before we cross that midline. And it's just to release any activation of the left side of those standing muscular muscle groups that we engaged. Now we'll bring some weight into the right standing leg, lifting up the left foot, bending the left knee. We'll work from an inner to an outer rotation, 3 to 4 sets here. Squeeze it a little more if it feels good. And then we'll go ahead and rest, reset, right standing leg once more, and opposite direction. We'll go from outer to an inner rotation of the left. Once we're done there, go ahead and let that release by just kicking the right foot forward, maybe a couple of times, then out to our outside before we cross midline. spine, just to get some of that activation released. And then we'll move up to the shoulder. So as we're returning to mountain, you may find your bent knees are able to straighten out a little more. Your pitch forward of your torso, see if you can bring it in above the pelvic bowl, just directly above, so that you have the ear somewhat over the shoulder, over the hips, over the ankles. Gentle tuck of the chin. We're moving to the shoulders. We'll relax our arms nice and loose to the sides, palms facing forward. Inhale, shoulders come up. Completely lift the collarbones and torso if you can at the top of the inhale. Feel nice and long. And then exhale, roll them back. Let them melt down the back. We'll do that about 4 times total. So inhaling up, rolling them back and down, really seeing if you can use the breath to help facilitate this movement. Inhale up, feel long and tall. Exhale, roll back and down. Those angel's wings tips. Just tuck into the back. One last one for me. And remember, at the bottom of your exhale, you can just engage the core. It helps to expel the air out. Now we're moving forward on the roll on the exhale. So inhale up, shoulders roll forward on the exhale and still melt down the back, tucking in the tips, the mid-back. Inhale up, exhale, roll forward and down. Couple more for me. See where you are. Forget to use the breath. And tall on the inhales. It's an engaged core by the bottom of your exhale. Then we'll move on to the next. And just turning forward to remind you, keeping the shoulders, hips, and feet in line, this horizontal line. So if you start to dip over and your shoulder comes up, or maybe your hip, or you feel that distribution of weight shifting to the other foot, on the exhale, bring it back into balance. That's all you have to do. So coming to our neck stretches, nice and tall, feeling really like that string at the crown of the head is lifting up, bringing everything into alignment. Gentle tuck of the tailbone under and engagement of the glutes so you can press the hips forward slightly. And then let's go ahead and inhale, still reaching upwards with the crown of the head. We're just going to tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Not much of a distance there. It might be maybe less than an inch, maybe just a fraction. We do need about an orange-sized space on the right side of our, between the earlobe and the shoulder. Inhaling, feel nice and tall. Exhaling, if you haven't already, turn the gaze. We'll take the last couple of breaths here, just to see if we can bring our gaze, our eyes within the gaze, the rightmost part of the periphery. Something about the eyes that are connected directly to the brain, and you can get a little more release by just simply looking at the eyes. So with the last exhale, go ahead and engage the core at the bottom of the exhale, then inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head lifts completely at the top of the inhale, so that we could just dip on over with the exhale. Inhaling, lift, chest, long, exhaling. Just about another 3 breath cycles. You might find your eyes can rest at space behind the shoulder. Left shoulder. It's the left thumb. Wherever it is, just feel that nice reaction. Gentle. And after your last breath cycle, let's go ahead and bring the eyes, the gaze turns, the head lifts completely with the inhale. That all we have to do is let the eyes roll, guiding the gaze down towards the floor. We're at about 6 feet in front of us. Our gaze is resting gently, feeling that nice long length at the back of the neck and about a tennis ball orange size space between the chin and the clavicle. Rotate the shoulders back, away from the ears by simply moving palms to face forward. With every inhale, you may lift, feel that energy lifting you, but even at a slight diagonal tilt at the top of that inhale. After the very last exhale, we're firming up the belly, pushing out all that air, and then we'll inhale, bring the eyes to help guide the gaze back up past the midline. The eyes should rest at the ceiling. Not so much of a strain, train in the back of the neck. We want a good space there as well. Nice and open front chest, and using the next 3 to 4 breaths, we're just simply going to see if there's any activated muscles, hidden tension, the jaw. Swallow, larger O. Always just tongue roll out. Soft. Gaze back to center. And we'll shake out any residual tension, lifting up the toes, the heels in case you like to grip the mat, and resetting the feet, hips distance apart, a little taller, a little longer in our mountain now. Nice and loose. We'll start with our sun salutations. So beginning with an extended fold, we're just going to be reaching downward with our fingers. So you can feel that reaching energy as we inhale to elevate the arms as it's reaching upward. So at the top, we might even be able to lift up with the torso, then start to hinge at the hips. We're nice and long, and engaging helps to keep the back strong and safe. Somewhere halfway down, you might have to walk the hands down the thighs, the shins, and maybe give yourself 5 good deep breaths. I can feel I'm super tight in the lower back. So you might be more at this half lift position. That's okay, just give yourself some time. Make sure you're not holding on to the head, because that's just engaging neck muscles you want to relax right now. So see, if you're rolling, pitching weight towards the toes more and feeling like you're going to tip over, just bring some weight to the back of the heels, somewhere at the tops of the arches. Feel that nice length from the hip bones all the way down to the heels, supporting this foundation. And let everything from the tailbone, down the spine, down the neck, down the crown of the head, just relax. See if the arms can just feel a little more relaxed by simply facing the palms upward. Fingers can be faced in towards each other. It just depends on where you are at this fold. Give yourself a nice sway of the hips from side to side. If your knees are starting to straighten out, you can bend one knee and straighten out the other as it is available to you. But see about maintaining that center of gravity right about here. As we do our slow roll up, we're going to start with a slow, controlled inhale, but engage your core. We're going to press into the feet, start to slowly inhale, as if you're like one of those balloon guys at the front of a car dealership. You're just going to inhale. And get everything stacked, head stacking last on the top. As the palms face forward and allow the blood to rush back to the head. Notice if the soles of the feet started to shift the center of gravity. Bring it back to center. Then we'll do another fold. So really reaching downward, energizing, feeling that openness at the top of the shoulders. Let's inhale, arms elevate above our head. And then exhale, engage the core, hinge at the hips, float on down to your fold. It's a little shorter, it's about a 3 breath cycle stint here in our shorter forward fold. So go ahead, tip some weight, explore how that feels, and then reset the center of gravity at the heels above the arches. Do give yourself that really deep, expansive inhale. See if those rib cage bones can just expand sideways, giving yourself a little release in the intercostal muscles of the ribs. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to come out with a strong back, or you can come up with a slow roll up like before. It's your choice. But we do want to engage the core. Feel nice and supported in your foundation. Extend through the arms, energizing, and then inhale slowly. Use the power of the inhale to come all the way back up, or walk your hands up. Exhaling, hands come down, heart center, loose, relaxed shoulders, elbows nice and relaxed at the rib cage. Let's inhale, press into the palms to help stabilize. Standing weight into the left leg, lift the right foot. Exhale the right foot down. It's a little fast for me, I was just a little off, but just do your best. Inhaling, left foot up. Exhaling the left heel, ball of foot, toes down. It's a very slow walking meditation. Really one breath, cycle per step. Engaging the core slightly to help keep your balance, pressing into the palms. And at the top of the mat, we'll meet mountain, Looking down at the fingertips, gently press and inhale. Watch the fingertips rise for an exercise and focus. Exhale, separate the palms, hinge at the hips. Float on down. Inhale, we're going to do a half lift. That's just lengthening from the tailbone to the crown of the head. We want to keep that nice and long. If your knees, if the backs of the legs are still tight, keep that bend to the knees. Deeper you go, the less challenging it is. But as you're able to straighten up, nice and long, feel like you're lengthening through the arms, nice and wide at the upper back. And then exhale, come on to your fold. Just bend the elbows. You can just let the chest release. And then we're going to plant the hands, step back one leg, and then the other. Come up for our high plank. We're just going to inhale the shoulders over the wrists. Let's go ahead and bring our knees down, untuck the toes, and take a look at your positioning here. Want the shoulders over the wrists, fingers are splayed, index, middle fingers towards the top of the mat. And if the shins are supporting you with the tops of the feet, hopefully that'll relieve any tension, any weight being dumped into the knees. We want that nice tucked under tailbone and this length from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. Let's go ahead and inhale, tuck the toes, lift up the hips. Exhale, press into those extended arms to simply bring the hips back towards your down dog. Now you're going to have to figure out how that translated. Did that make your head kind of stoop upwards? We really want to bring our head at about the ears, somewhere in between our inner arms, inner upper arms. And if you can have the points of the elbows pointing towards the back of the mat, crooks of the elbows towards the top of the mat, that'll help you keep the shoulders from collapsing into the ears. Keep your shoulders nice and wide by just simply pressing into long extended arms. And we're in our first long down dog, so if you want to cultivate a bending of one knee and then alternately the other, you can walk your dog. You can inhale, roll up to the tippy toes, carve out that core, an upside down V, and pressing just a little harder. Encourage the heels to release. And just let them stop where they do. Don't force the heels to the mat. We don't need to do that. But if you're nice and relaxed, you might find that your heels are there. So as it is, with our next inhale, we're going to roll our eyes towards the hands and just exhale. Walk the hands, bend the knees if you need, to your fold at the back of the mat. Fully exhaled here. Let's inhale for a half lift. See if you can really lengthen through the back and through the legs. And then exhale back to the fold. And then come up with a straight back or roll up slowly, one vertebra at a time if that's how you feel with your back right now. Otherwise, inhale. Engaging the core really helps to strengthen, help protect the back. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. And our second walking meditation, let's inhale, lift the right foot. Exhale, right heel, ball of foot and toes down. Some relaxed shoulders. Pressing only into the palms if you need to calibrate your balance. One step and stop. And at the top of the mat, let's go ahead and inhale, watch the fingertips rise. Exhale, separate the hands, fold, float on down to your fold. Inhale for a half lift, nice and long. Spin out those sits bones back behind you, engage the core. Exhale for the fold. Place the hands at either side of the feet. Come on up to a high plank with long legs. Inhale, shoulders over the wrists. Nice and long. We're feeling that length from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. It really helps to keep that extension in the arms nice and wide. Imagine the sides of the shoulder blades are moving away from the spine. And then we're going to inhale, lift up the hips. Exhale, press into the extended arms to bring the hips towards your down dog. Heels may follow. So just give yourself another 3 breath cycles. Give yourself a shorter time in your dog. You can swivel the hips, make some interesting infinity shapes. And then when you're done, we'll go ahead and inhale, look to the hands, and then exhale, engage the core, walk the hands to the feet, or a fold at the back of the mat, and inhale for half lift. Exhale, fold, engaging the core, expel that air. Then inhale, extend the arms, come on up, strong back, engaged core, exhaling hands down heart center, loose, relaxed shoulders, hands at the side, palms facing. can feel your heart beating. Self-breathing spine. And then we'll go ahead and turn around to the side. We'll have a bit of a hip opener in our standing exercise as well as our balancing. Now we're going to be in our mountain with your feet apart. If you have balance issues, this is just a lot easier as we're doing our standing stretches. And this is going to help us with bone density, with balance, with our form as we're standing upright, how to feel that weight. So as it's here, feet are hips distance apart. We're having that gentle tuck of the tailbone underneath. And I'm going to just turn to the side so you can see that. Notice if you're pitching forward with the upper body, just simply a tucking under of the tailbone, gentle push forward of the hips, then hopefully that helps to pitch the spine back so it's directly above, sinking into your pelvic bone. And as we're here, inhale, palms out to the side, and then above your head. And again, if you're not able to have the hands above the head, that's okay. Might be that your shoulders are really tight and you might be pitched forward some. Do your best. As we come up to our hands above the head, once we get there, we're just going to try to straighten up. So if you find yourself here, just give yourself some time to lift up with the inhales, feeling nice and long and stretched out. Go ahead and exhale. The hands are going to come float down, nice and smooth. Shake out the shoulders. And I'll turn to the forward facing once more so you have a different perspective. Now here, you're going to do it one more time. Inhaling, hands above our head or somewhere in that vicinity. This time, see if you can interlace the fingers and let the index fingers come out, sort of like you have a little pointer finger, just like that. So we're going to hopefully have that somewhere by our ears or directly above our head. And as we're there, focus on lengthening. And if your shoulders get tired, come on out. Just come on out. It's okay. You can rejoin in a bit. But here, what we're just focusing on is breathing with the engaged core. Bring that belly button to stick right towards the spine. And then let's go ahead and release and let the arms gently float back down. Go ahead and let your shoulders wiggle up and down alternately, forward and back. Just release that tension that we just created there. Now, resetting the feet if you need to. We're going to be bringing our arms up again by bringing a side stretch into this mountain pose with the arms above us. So as we lift up, feel as if your fingers are just leading you upwards. And as that lift still occurs, we're just going to tilt over to the side. You're just getting a nice stretch to the side. We don't need to bend so much. We just need to feel that upward energizing and then a slight moving over so we can feel a facilitation of this release. But it's not the side curve that we really want. We want a nice side stretch. And then when you're ready, come on back with an inhale and let's let the hands just float back down, however you want it. It's a lot of shoulder work, but we're getting there. All right, one last spot, one last side. Let's inhale, arms above us once more. Interlace the fingers, index fingers are out. Switch the position of your top thumb if you'd like. Inhale, lifting up as if someone's pulling you by the fingers. And now we're going to lean to the other side until we stop. Make sure your right hip, your right foot is not lifting. Remember, we want to keep that even distribution of support at the feet. We want to make sure the heels and the hips are hopefully in line horizontally. Shoulders are a little off though. We're here. Now let's inhale back up and then exhale, let those arms float back down and go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a shoulder roll again. It's a lot of stretching, but a lot of strength building as well. So now that we're there, we're going to come over to hip opening and we're going to use either the blocks or the chair. So coming with a chair that doesn't have arms, that seems to be the best one. You just really need 2 feet on there. If you have a super slippery floor, you're welcome to put all 4 on there, but usually it's just the 2 feet that should be fine. And I will start on this side so you get a chance to see how the hips should be sitting. Let's get a block here too. You might find it nice to have a block, maybe 2. And it just depends on how open your body is. I'm going to start with the chair so that this is the easiest one. If you have difficulty keeping your balance in like a low lunge, this is a great way to cultivate your low lunge and have the chair helping you support the body while you're learning. So as you're above, you're just going to sit down and bring the left buttock mostly to rest on the chair. And then if you just slide the butt back a little bit, you might have the edge of the chair kind of locking up against the left calf. It's just something that you can do to help you feel a little more stable. But here you are, bring your arm to just kind of rest around the back of the chair, the backrest, and hold on to it, because hopefully you're going to keep that center of gravity. Like when we're doing our leg lifts, you should feel as if you've got one side of your body completely supporting you so that you can just let this right leg loose. And as we were doing that warm-up, getting the forward to back movement in our hip joints, now we're just going to sit and let gravity help us open up. So just by opening up the right hip, you can keep the top of your right foot on the mat. If that is not helping you and you need to have something like a block system to support the shin, you can. But we really don't want it too supported because we're really trying to release through the right hip. So you might find that if you do need support somewhere on that top of the ankle or in the right shin area, you can maybe push that block back a little bit. So as you start to open up here, you should be able to just maybe eventually start moving these pops away. And if you can move the block to support that's supporting your right foot, you might have the toes instead as a transition until you can get the top of the foot. And eventually, we're just trying to open up through here, feeling as if both sits bones are horizontal to each other, they're parallel to each other, and they're not curving to the right or to the left. We want them in balance, not only to the front of the mat, but also to each other. Now it's about a 5 to 10 breath cycle hold on this opening here. And I'm pretty sure we're there. So let's go ahead and bring that right foot up. You can lift up on the chair. And we're just going to simply turn to the other side. Have your block nearby. And then the second round, we'll do it without the chair, but you'll be welcome to use the chair still if you would like to do that. So as we sit to the other side, getting a hold of the seat back, the back of the seat, making sure that our right thigh, our right buttock is nice and supported. We're having that good center of gravity, feeling as if that support is in the right side of our body. Once you do that, you can start playing around with the positioning of that left foot. Does it need to be on top of toes? Can it be on the top of the ankle? Does it need to have a block underneath the shin? And just as you're finishing this out, it takes about 3 to 5 breath cycles to kind of find your first edge. So once you reach that edge and you find, okay, this is a good spot, breathe another 5 breaths or so. 3 to 5 breath cycles once you found your edge. So you could just find that time, space, the left hip release. Keeping the torso upright. Make sure you're not caving in the chest, curving, or pitching forward. If you are pitching forward, just another indication that it's a tight hip situation. We're working towards keeping the torso perpendicular to the floor, right above it. When you're ready to come out, you can make sure your left foot is stable. Start bringing it up and work your way off of the floor, or off of the chair. I'm going to move the chair away, but you're welcome to do the second set with the chair as we just did. So here, in the second set, you can use your blocks if you'd like, and just do a more traditional form of the low lunge. But what we're going to do is have it still modified pretty much with the right shin down on the floor. Now for me, I do like a blanket there, a bony shin, so see what works for you. And you would just set that up as we're going through here. So for the low lunge here, I like to do that from a forward fold. So having my blocks down here, bringing them down to where I know it'd be comfortable. And then I'll start walking 1 foot back, making sure that I have my props in placement. And I really don't want to have my knee pushed in too much. I'm going to use a support under my shin, make sure it does not dig into the knee. You're using the shin and the top of the foot to help stabilize like a rudder, excuse me, on a boat. So basically just try to keep that nice and upright with the back leg as you're trying to bring the placement of the left knee stacked above that left ankle. And as you're finding this position, again, notice where the hips are. Are they, is one lower than the other? Are both of them kind of turned to one side, one corner of the mat? Those are the things we want to correct, modify to our best ability. Don't force it if it's just not moving that way. You're just having to deal with things. But we're just trying to keep those hip bones parallel to one another, perpendicular to the top of the mat. And once you find your sweet spot, making sure you can bring yourself up right with your torso. We're finding that nice opening here, using the top of our foot and our shin, and even the blocks, either hands on the blocks to help us. If we can't come upright, we're here. We're still trying to open that right hip. Or here with our hands on our thigh. And it's, yes, time to go. So let's go ahead. Bring your hands down to where the blocks are, or to the mat if you don't have blocks. Remove any props that you need, that you have, excuse me. We're just going to press into it and bring the tuck of the toe under. And then walk the hand up. If you're on that chair, you just get up and go. And we'll go ahead. And coming all the way back up to standing with our blocks, we'll just move to the other side. And all you have to do if you're using the chair is just get up and turn around. So now, I believe it's my left leg going back, my right foot at front. So as you come down, you can go in from the fold, step back, start to bring the shoulders above the wrists, start to bring the knee down. And if you have that blanket or the shin support, bringing that down too. And then taking the next few breaths just to see where your alignment is. You want to make sure that as you're creating that space, opening the hips, eventually you end up with the right foot stacked directly underneath that right knee, right ankle under the right knee, and hips perpendicular to the top of the mat, parallel to one another. And if you're able to, at the very last, your edge, just breathe your 5 breaths. 3 to 5 breaths, working long, hard breath cycles. And just keeping an openness, trying to eventually bring the torso to an upright position and opening up the hips. All we're trying to do with the lunges. Notice if you're starting to actively hunch or bring muscles into play that you don't need to keep the position. Just want to release those muscles. Don't. And when you're ready to come out, we'll bring our hands to the blocks if they're on the thighs. Bring them underneath the shoulders so you can tuck that back foot and walk it up. Bend the knees if you need to. And if you're on the chair, we'll go ahead and just get up and meet on our belly on the mat. So next, you're doing well on time. If you need to drink some water, go ahead and take a little water break. We're gonna move on to the belly. So this is one of those things where having a blanket for bony hips, bony chest is such a nice thing. And just feeling that support of the floor. I highly encourage you take a moment, coming down one elbow at a time, and just give yourself some time to relax. You can rest the brow on pillowed hands. If your shoulders are tight, that might feel nice to have that armpit kind of opened up a little bit. If that's not working for you, you can always just bring the side of the cheek, the side of the face to rest. Notice if you're on one side, pressing into the chest to turn the gaze for a brief counter stretch in the other direction if you're turning the face. And then we'll come into our Sphinx once more. So from here, we're going to press into the chest because I need to bring my face back to the mat. I'm going to inch my fingers above that position where the elbows were, and then bring my elbows underneath the shoulders. I'm hopefully keeping that space at the top of the shoulders nice and wide. Feel as if the shoulders are moving away from each other to help keep the sides of the shoulder blades moving away from the spine. That nice openness you'll get at the top of the shoulders. But for right now, with that slight opening up there at the shoulders, we're just going to focus on the anchoring of the lower body. Give yourself a little bit of a roll, get comfortable, and then see if you can lengthen through the legs a little more. You can just tuck onto the toes and walk the feet away, legs lengthening from the pelvic bowl. And once that's there, just let them relax. Your toes can be pointed out towards the corners of the mat. They don't have to be, you don't have to have them aligned, zipped up like a tail. So with some space there, and just nice and relaxed in the lower body, we're just going to focus on the front. So see if you can bring the fleshy part of your forearms to really bear the brunt of the weight here. But think of your hands, the palms of the hands being an extension of the forearms as well. So that whole area from elbow to fingertip, you're just going to use that with even distribution of support. So that when you press down with that even distribution of force, you can feel as if the upper body has that entire length of support. Now, one more deep inhale. And at the top of the inhale, just have a slight lifting of the gaze so that you rest the eyes nice and soft, no real focus here, but just a soft gaze somewhere at the tips of the fingers, at that line. Noticing whether or not you're starting to cave in the shoulders, just try to push them away from each other. Keep that space at the top of the shoulder. Then notice if you started to activate any muscle in the lower body, so that you're just now here, hopefully at your sweet position, to breathe. Taking slow, deep ujjayi breaths, that relaxed ocean sound breath. Who knows that breath cycle finds that just the skin of the belly, top, diaphragm is the skin of the belly, just lifting, lowering breath cycle. Soon. Spend about 5 to 10 breath cycles after finding our air. You're approaching something like a 15th breath. It's about time to start coming on down. So one vertebra at a time, start to slide the chest downward, elbows go out to the side. And then definitely let's bring our hands to rest, backs of the hands on the mat. And let's gently bring our right cheek to rest on the mat. Now, if you had your cheek turned previously when you first came down here, you might find it a little less on the apple of your cheek and maybe a little closer towards that area near the ear. It's just something to think about. A nice deep breath here. Just release. Nice slow exhale. Let the glutes release if they started to activate. Then pressing into the chest, let's lift our head and turn the gaze to the other side. And maybe it's more on the apple of your left cheek here. But give yourself some time. Notice if you're holding up your shoulders in this transition of turning the gaze. Just let your shoulders relax. Maybe you'll find more of that side of your face can release onto the floor. All right, let's go ahead and press into our chest. A gentle pressing so we can turn our head as we come back to center. Our nose is, a little smushed, but it's just resting gently over the mat. Let's bring our fingers to walk up the shoulders, elbows underneath the shoulders once more. And then we're going to come onto our side. Now, extending your left arm out and to the best of your ability, because again, if you have really tight shoulders, maybe this extension of the left arm right above you is not possible, then just come out a little farther out to this side. That's all you have to do. And then what we're just going to do is see about rolling a little bit. Now, if you roll and your shoulder is kind of catching you there, then let's go ahead and bring your left arm down completely. And you're just going to use your right hand to help you peel open and bring some weight to the left side of your body. It's almost as if we're doing a peel, a shoulder peel on that shoulder. So if it's up at the top, you're using your right arm to kind of help roll you a little bit. If your arm is down because the shoulder is really tight, your right arm is still rolling you a little bit. Your head is rested on the floor. You're getting a bit more of a shoulder peel. And just the placement of this left hand, the degree angle away from the body will either facilitate a deeper stretch, or it can make it less intensive if you lower the arm closer to the body. So when you exhale next, let's roll onto your belly, release the right arm, and then bring the right arm above your head. If you can't do that, you're going to have your right arm extended out away from you, palm down, or side or the back of your palm down. See which one feels better, and you'll use that lower angled arm nearer to the side of the body instead of the one extended above you. We're just going to press into the body just a little bit, opening up by just simply bringing our position of the body to the right side of the body. We're opening up the right shoulder, and you're using your right hand, kind of like a kickstand hand, to control the amount of pressure, guidance. And then you can roll back down with the exhale, bringing down the arm if it was above. So then now with the next roll here, this should help us prepare for a deeper banana peel. So now we're back on our belly. Our face is kind of smushed onto the carpet. See about bringing your arms above the head now with the palms down on the floor. If you're able to do both of that, you're simply just going to use the roll of your body to come onto your side, your left side. And hang on, if you're not able to bring the arms above your head, we're going to do this banana peel in a different way. But give yourself, if you're with your arms above, a step with both feet back, away from the center line where your belly is. You have a slight curve of the feet away from the belly. And then you can do the same thing with the arms. You'll get this nice opening of the armpits by extending the arms just above your head. And if you don't like your head clamped in between the arms, just move the right arm above, in front of the face or in back. See which one feels better. But you're getting this banana-shaped opening and having the front torso sort of like the arch of the banana, right? And just breathing here, 3 to 5 breaths. If your arms are down, we're still going to do this stretch, but you're only going to do the feet. But this left arm might be in that shoulder peel position as it was before, and your right hand will be in that kickstand position. But now, both feet will be kind of a little farther back than your hips, than your belly. You're still getting the hip opener, but if your shoulders, your armpit area is too tight, we're just going to skip that, and you can control the amount of shoulder peel with this right kickstand hand. Now let's go ahead and inhale, come back over towards the mat, and fully exhale onto the belly. Turning the head to the opposite side, give yourself a nice gentle roll on the belly. You'll probably feel a nice stretching to that right side of the hip where we had that opening in the banana peel. And now we're going to move to the other side. So bringing the head and face to be right above the mat. We're going to come back to center, face above the mat, a little smushed, and then arms are just going to be up above us once more, palms down. If you're able to do that, then we're just going to roll onto our right side. And once we can get to our right side, kind of balance. Use your hand if you have to kind of find that balance there. But once we can bring both arms above our head, we're just going to start with the feet moving back a little bit from the belly line area. Imagine it being kind of a curve, extending the left hip now. Both feet can be on top of each other, but if you're having issues of balance, you can just have one of the soles of the feet, resting in back to help you from rolling completely onto the back. You're really wanting to keep that nice arch to the belly, and the hands will move as you find that space available. It'll be almost as if you're just this inverted banana on the other side, the belly being the arch of the banana shape. And it is a kind of balancing issue, so you might have to have the right leg balancing or the left leg balancing in a position that's not stacked. Okay, and with the arms down, you're still doing that nice shoulder peel to the right shoulder while getting the left hip to have that nice opening, and really just control that amount of roll with this left kickstand hand. And when you're ready, breathing, giving yourself 3 to 5 breaths once you've found that nice sweet spot. If you're really rolled over, you'll need to inhale back up to center and then exhale onto the belly. But use that kickstand hand to help you so you get a little bit more control in how you roll back onto the belly. And then, one last thing, let's go ahead and bend our knees. If we're on our belly on the mat and we're feeling comfortable, gently have the chin tucked into towards the throat so you're not, craning the back of the neck. We just want to have maybe the nose and the chin gently hovering above the mat so that we can lengthen the arms down beside our thighs. So as we're reaching downwards, if you can grab a hold of the materials of the thigh, go ahead and get that fabric and start reaching downwards. See if you can really bring those shoulders down. Okay, if you're able to, see if you can touch your feet, the edges of your feet. If not, you're just going to maybe touch for the calf material or just keep your hands on the thighs. You're just giving your upper shoulders a really nice stretch. And if you're able to eventually get a hold of your feet or the calf material, you can start to bend at the knees, bringing the tops of the feet closer to the buttocks. And in this way, we're experiencing the pose bow. And you can extend through the feet and just see about trying to straighten up those legs, but you're not going to be able to. But you'll find that nice energy to help stretch quads and gently press the pubic bone and hips towards the belly, towards the mat. And you'll get that nice arch eventually, and opening, hip openers of both hips at the same time. We'll go ahead and if you've got a hold of your feet, release the feet. If you have your calf material or thigh material, release that and let the knees straighten out and rest the feet back onto the mat. Turn the gaze to the right and let the shoulders melt away from the spine.
See if you can release any activation of those shoulders. See if they'll just melt away and rest on the mat. We're going to inch our fingers back up the mat, bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, and roll your way onto your back. You can extend through the arm again, but if your shoulders are tight, you might have to find a different way of rolling onto your back. So it might be that you roll over your arm, making sure your arm is nice and safe underneath there. Might be that you just have a bent elbow and you're using the shoulder as a way of rolling onto the back. You might have a reverse push-up if your back is really strong. See what works for you, but we're meeting on the back, moving the speaker. So as we meet on the mat, making sure any folded skin pressed away. Give yourself a chance. Just relax on the back for a moment. Your arms are going to be at the side. They might be a few inches away from the hips. We're moving into a Shavasana. And with this Shavasana, you'll have a small guided meditation of body squeezes. Very short, just to help release any residual activation of muscles. So while you're on your back, nice and long, neck is aligned with the back, and then just relax everything. Let the feet be about hips distance apart and let the toes kind of roll away from each other. And as we're there, we're going to start with the feet. Start bringing contraction to the feet. Start to engage the muscles in just the feet. You might curl your toes, but if you start to cramp up, don't curl your toes. But just try to engage the feet, only the feet. And then release. Exhale, nice and slow, or just one big swoosh, whatever works for you. Then reset once more. We're going to move on up the body, but we're still going to engage the called out parts of body as well. So with the next slow inhale, start to engage the feet. Really contract the toes, arches, calves even, and the thighs. Really just contract everything from the feet all the way up the legs. And then exhale, release. Let it go. Just let everything kind of just melt back onto the mat. So the idea is to really contract and then really just surrender and let go. So as we move on up the body, inhaling here, let's start to contract the feet, the legs, the glutes, the belly. Get everything from the belly down to just be contracted. You're engaging it. It's active, active, active. And then let it loose. Release. The glutes release. Let the feet be soft. Let the belly just rise and fall with the breath. Then the next slow inhale, engage the feet, the legs, the buttocks, the torso, the belly, and the arms. Ball up the fists, the fingers, and really from the arms, from the torso, from the glutes, from the legs and the feet, everything is one tight engaged body. And then exhale, let everything go. Let the glutes release, let the fingers unfurl, let the toes relax. Please let that belly be soft. So deep breaths. And then with the last slow inhale, we're going to engage the entire body from the feet to the legs, to the glutes, to the shoulders, to the neck, to the forehead, even the scalp. See if you can get every muscle in your body just engaged and really active. And then exhale, let it all go. Give yourself a few deep breaths. See if your brow can soften. Your tongue is stuck to the roof of the mouth. Let that go, cradled by the jaw. Belly be soft. Oh, let everything release in the toes, feet, glutes, belly, fingers, throat. Now for the next segment, we'll be moving into Shavasana. You don't have to do anything, just let your body respond. I'm going to sit upright, just to mind the time.
Let your body, any thoughts should come up, hear any noises. Okay, acknowledge that and let it go with the next breath. When you hear the bells. The mind back to the body. What if sounds outside the room? Sounds within the room. Finally back to the air as it exits the nose. The body vessel. Some time. Reawaken, connect, wiggle the fingers, rock, hug in the knee. Rock and roll your way slowly to the top of the mat in an upright position, or you can just choose your favorite side to roll into a fetal position. Your hand and your forearm help you back upright. You can meet in an easy seated position of one leg out in front of the other, or with your legs extended out in front of you in a staff position. We just want to make sure we're sitting evenly in our on our sits bones with a nice tall spine, so we can have a nice deep breath exercise to help reawaken us. I'm going to turn to the side, and we're going to be doing kind of like a cat-cow version of a very, simple breathing meditation prana exercise that is just so nice. So give yourself a little bit of space here. If you're in the staff position, you can do this too. But again, the thing we want to focus on is the spine being right above that pelvic bowl. Once we're there, we're going to bring our hands to the knees if you're sitting crisscross applesauce, or out to the side at the hips if your legs are in staff. But we're just going to start with a nice deep inhale. Feel nice and long, feel that energy, feel the spine lifting, the chest may lift up, gentle tuck of the chin, feel that energy lifting from the crown of the head. And then exhale, slowly engaging the core. We're going to curve up the upper shoulders and start to curve out the lower mid-back. Well, more the mid-back. Fully exhaled here, you can see we have sort of a C shape to our back. We're going to inhale, slowly start to lift up, just roll on the pelvic bones there, and lift up the chest. And then exhale, we're going to engage the core, start to push out the air, curve out the upper shoulders into our cat. You can press through the arms if that helps you to open up through the back. Inhaling, arms, elbows close to the rib cage at the top of the inhale. Exhale. Now we've done a couple of these rounds, but let's do a total of 6. So maybe 3 more full breath cycle rounds on your own. Inhale up. Exhale, cat. Rounded shoulders, engage the core, carve it out. Inhale. Cow, let the belly be nice and soft and long. Exhale, cat. One more round here for me. Let your exhale, your cat, be your best, fully expanded upper shoulders, and then we'll inhale back up to center and just let yourself be nice and soft and natural. Upright belly, engaged core slightly. And then we'll bring our hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at ACC's Gentle Yoga on Tuesday at 1 p.m. I'm Jeani. So glad you could join us. Hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. I remember my friend Georgina showing me this nice way to come out of the prayer hands. So hopefully you get a little bit of that too. It's just a nice stretching. Wonderful. I'm here for the next few minutes. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If you have any comments, feedback, also happy to hear. Otherwise, have a great day. Okay.